Hey everybody, it's Fox with FoxeoGames, and this is a Fox First Scent for Oreshika, Tainted Bloodlines on the PlayStation Vita, also compatible with the PSTV, and I am playing it on the PSTV here where I'm capturing the footage. This is character creation for the game. You start out by creating your character male and female, and you get to choose various different options for how that character looks. The title sounds strange, but it's actually a shortened version of the original Japanese title, which is Ore no Shikabane o Koete Yuke, which literally translates to about something similar to Over My Dead Body. This is actually the second game in the series. There was an Oreshika game for the PlayStation back in 1999, which I didn't play, haven't even seen, and will be checking out at some point. Don't know if I'll actually buy it, but I do want to at least see some videos of it on YouTube. The game has a very unique Japanese art aesthetic, as you'll see here. Although it doesn't look as good blown up and shown in full like 720p as you're seeing here on YouTube, it looks great on the PS Vita. When I play this game on the PS Vita, looking at the PS Vita screen instead of, blown up on a big monitor TV with the PS TV, on the actual PS Vita, it does look really good. It looks really sharp. It looks really amazing. So please keep in mind that you're not meant to see this game at this high of a resolution. It's basically been stretched out in a way that's not supposed to. So please keep in mind, this looks so much better when you play it on the handheld. As you can see from the combat here, there is a tactical element to it. It's not a tactical JRPG, don't get me wrong, it's a JRPG, but there are elements of front guard versus rear guard, so depending on the class that you pick for your characters, you may not be able to attack all of the enemies. In fact, you usually won't. Some of the characters will only attack one enemy at a time. Others will attack a whole bunch. For example, the entire front guard. Some can attack the front and the rear. Some of them can attack, for example, the front enemy and then any enemies behind that enemy. So you've seen games like this before that have those sort of elements to it. When you get into combat, you'll notice that there is a leader for the enemy team, as well as a leader for your team. The leader for your team is you. If you die, game over. That's it. If the enemy's leader dies, the battle is over. You've won regardless of how many enemies are left standing. So it's actually a challenge at times to try to defeat all of the enemies without killing the leader first and leaving some still alive. There are a ton, and I mean just a ton, of little aspects to how this game works. Every time you start a battle, there's sort of a slot machine effect at the start that determines what you can get after you complete the battle. There are these sort of like god items or something, and you have to complete special conditions to get them, and it won't tell you what they are, so it just says experiment. I'm like, okay, we'll experiment. The game is somewhat randomized. In this version of the game, where I've started it for the second time, I went to that area first, whereas in the first time I played the game, I went to this cat area first, whereas this cat area is now the second place I went to. There are some different enemies in them. When I went to the cat area the first time, all of the enemies seem to have this like goblin as their leader, whereas here they seem to have this nasty, I don't know, trollish looking enemy. The music in this cat area is some of the most annoying music I've heard in any level to any game, but it's annoying in a like decent way where it's at least a decent quality song, if that makes sense. It's not like a 5-second loop like a terrible NES game might have. When you run into enemies in the overworld, depends on how you approach them as to how the battle starts out. If they approach you from behind, then you're caught by surprise. If you approach them from behind, then you have the initiative, which is a common feature in a lot of JRPGs. Whew, like I said, there is a lot going on here. The story is interesting. You've been brought back alive by this goddess, I believe. It's a bit confusing. But what you do basically is fight through, gain power and some special abilities, skills, all that crap. Then you take your characters and you marry them off, or not even marry, but really mate them with some gods. You choose which gods you want to mate them with, and then you create new characters from that by having babies, basically. And when you have these new babies, they take a while. They're initially stuck in town studying, and then when they're ready to go, you can add them to your party for later. Your characters will only live for a certain period of time. I haven't had any die off yet, but I believe that's how it works. I've only made it about an hour and a half in, and that's with 2 different playthroughs that I started. It is a really interesting game in many aspects. The story kept me interested, although I didn't like the fact that there is a really, really long animated cutscene at the beginning that you cannot skip, and it takes a long time. I think it's somewhere maybe like 15 minutes worth, and if you're just trying to get into the game, I mean, you can't even just set the game down. Like, you actually have to click a button part of the way through the cutscene to keep it going. You can pick up various treasure chests, some of which are trapped, which is of course interesting. I don't know if there's any way to determine which ones are trapped before you actually go into them. There's a frenzy mode, which I've gone into, as you see here, where something changes. I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, there is so much going on with Oreshika that there's a lot that I'm missing, and I need to pick up more of what exactly is going on as I played more of the game. Don't know if I'll get to a full review of the game. I'd like to, but then again, I'd like to review a lot of games I don't get around to reviewing. But this is a Fox First Scent for Oreshika for the PS Vita, available or compatible also with the PSTV. Have you guys played it, and if so, what do you think? Let me know. I'm Fox with FoxeoGames, and I'll see you next time.
猫の砂場には気を、いや、匂いがここのとはいえそこがどこ